Okay, we're going to look at calculating area. So area of triangles and parallelograms, a word problem, and that should say area of composite shapes. Okay, here's our first example. Jessica has created a tulip garden in the shape of a parallelogram. She's going to plant 10 tulips per square meter of the garden. How many tulips does Jessica need? Okay, so there's some key things here. There's some key things. So we know, yep, there we go. Okay, so we know that it's a parallelogram. And we're trying to find the area of it. So it is base times height is the formula. And she wants to plant 10 tulips per square meter. So every square meter, she's putting 10 tulips in. So if this is a square, so this is 8 meters this way. So for every square, there's going to be 10 tulips in there. And we need to know how many tulips this is. So this is a multi-step problem. The first thing we need to do is find the area of the parallelogram. Okay, area of it. So area, it equals base times height. The base is 8 meters times the height, that's 5 meters. 8 times 5, 40 meters squared. Okay, that's just the area, but we can't forget that she's planting 10 tulips for every square meter. So every little square meter, she's putting 10 tulips in there. Now, that means we got to take this 40 for every square meter equals 10 tulips, every square meter. So really, we got to take that 40 and multiply it by 10 tulips to find out how many tulips we actually need. So 40 times 10 is 400 tulips. Okay, 400 tulips she's going to need. All right, that's our first problem there. Next one. Okay, example 2. What is the area of this figure? So we're looking at this and we're like, okay, is it a parallelogram? Is it a triangle? It's some wonky shape. But this is what we call a composite figure or a composite shape. All right. Now, when you think of these composite shapes, I want you to think of puzzles. You're trying to put a puzzle together and trying to create shapes that can be added together to give you the total area of the shape. All right. So when I look at this, I see two shapes that I can work with. I see a rectangle and I see a triangle. If I draw a line here, that's going to give me my triangle. Now, I have that rectangle and that triangle. So, rectangle plus that triangle is going to give me this shapes area. The length times the width is the actual, length times width is the area formula. And then a half, or 0.5, times the base and the height for the triangle. Okay? All right, let's deal with the rectangle first. So we have 3.6. and 6.2. It's not 8.4 because remember 8.4 is this entire piece here. 8.4 is this entire piece. 6.2 gets me up to my little red line that I created there. So we first have the length is 6.2 multiplied by 3.6. Okay, now we have the height of the triangle. That's 3.6. You can see this is the same as this, but the base is not 8.4. The base is definitely not 6.2. So how do we get this little portion right here? We have to subtract it. So that little portion is actually 8.4 subtract 6.2. That little portion there, that's what it's going to give you. Okay, so it's 8.4 subtract 6.2. That's our 2.2 centimeters is what that gives us. So the base of this particular triangle is 2.2. So so the base of that is 2.2 multiplied by the height, which is 3.6. So that's our whole formula. So let's work it out. So 6.2 multiplied by 3.6. Yes, you can use a calculator. 22.32 plus, let's do our multiplication there first, the 2.2 multiplied by 3.6 first. So that gives us 7.92, and we need half of that. So I'll divide it by 2. Gives us all right, so when I add those two together, that will give me my total area. 26.28. Don't forget the units, centimeters squared. Okay, so you have to think of it as a puzzle and adding those pieces together to form your area. All right, let's look at the next one. A little more complicated. Now, we have to find the area of this figure. We actually have to find the area of the shaded area of this figure. Okay, so this whole thing is a triangle for the most part, but it has this cutout. That cutout there. Now, the first thing we need to do, we need to find the area, the triangle area, and then we need to subtract the squares area because we don't need that. It's taken away. All right, so what that looks like is that half of that base times height. Okay, so we have that, and we're subtracting that square area there. Subtract the square, which is pretty much base times height, length times width. Length times width. Okay. All right, now let's plug in our numbers. So our base for our triangle is 10. The height is 15. We're subtracting 5 times 5. All right, let's get started. So we need the half here, 150, subtract 5 times 5, gives us 25. So half of that 150 is 75. And we're subtracting 25. That gives us 50 for that shaded area. But 50 meters squared. Okay? All right. Now, your homework, you're going to go on to Go Formative, and there is a composite area worksheet, and it's online. It grades itself instantly. It allows you to show your work so you can work through your mistakes. Make sure you come back to this video, look at the PDF, whatever you need to, so you understand how to do these composite shapes. But just remember, composite shapes, treat it like a puzzle piece that you have to put together. When you're putting something together, you're adding. So draw lines where you can kind of see where you're going to have the different shapes that you can put together. All right.